I don't feel confident in giving people like startup advice, if you know what I mean, because I feel like it really depends on what you're building and where you're at in your own life. But I will say you need to just start. That whole thing, analysis paralysis we were talking about earlier, of like, you don't need permission, you don't need an expert. Just start. You'll learn as you go. For example, I learned, oh my gosh, I actually don't have the technical skills I need. Let me bring on another co-founder to do this thing. Like, you're going to hit speed bumps, you're going to hit unexpected things, but you just need to start. And then the next thing is talking to people who have been through it before. I know I've said this before with job hunting. It's the same thing. It's like, without Ingrid, we would have, probably built in the wrong direction. Maybe we wouldn't have talked to customers and we would have just kept building something that nobody wanted, right? So it's, I guess, those two pieces of advice I can confidently say,
Hi there, everyone. This is
Exclusive hot hitter.
welcome all to another episode of the Why to How podcast, where we explore adventures in STEM. Today, I have the unique pleasure of interviewing an alum of ours, Sarah Simionescu, who it has been out of the STEM fair world for a little bit, but she's got an amazing story to tell, and I can't wait to get into all of the questions we have for you. So, Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Stuart.
Of course. Now, Sarah, you are a Canada-wide Science Fair alum, but unlike some of the other episodes that I've been doing recently, you have not won at the Canada-wide Science Fair in 2025. Do you want to tell me about your STEM fair journey?
Yeah. So in 2017, my school ran a local science fair. Everyone had to do it. It was just part of the stuff you do in grade 7. And I knew I wanted to make a game because I was playing around with Scratch, which, if you don't know what Scratch is a website where you can program your own games using no code, just by connecting blocks together. So it's super, easy to get started, a lot of fun. I was making a lot of games in my own spare time. And so for my science fair project, I wanted to make a game. So I partnered with my best friend, Juvia Master Mateo, and we made a game together. We presented it locally, and we won the science fair at my school, which was super surprising. And then we had to go present it to the regional science fair. And this was my first ever science fair, ever time presenting in front of, so many people. We really, improved the game. We made a whole other version of the game. We reprogrammed it from scratch. We got my French teacher to do the voice acting. He had a very, very good Dracula impression. So he played the evil villain who would narrate the game. Oh, and I forgot to mention, a key kind of part of our game is that it was an audio game, which means there were absolutely no visuals, nothing to see on the screen. And you played entirely through listening to the sounds. It was inspired by my backdoor neighbor and good friend, Julia, who is visually impaired, was born without sight. So I was thinking, what if I made a game that both she and, well, anyone could play, and kind of have the same experience? So we did that. Julie got to play it too. She thought it was really fun. We had the opportunity to go to a school for the blind and share our game with 30 students, which was super exciting. They all had a good time. Looking back at the game, I mean, actually, it was pretty fun. I did pull it up a few days ago before this call so I could remember what I did, because it was so long ago. Honestly, it was a good time. Except for
Sarah, you're a grade 7.
I was in
Give
grade
yourself a break.
7, okay, but people are nice. I thought people were being a little sweet to me because I was I was young. Maybe they're being sweet to me, but honestly, it was a pretty good time. One of the levels, though, you needed to click the mouse pad, and the closer you got to the target, the higher the pitch would go. That game is super annoying. It's really annoying because it's like beep 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 beep. And you're trying to find this thing, and it's just high pitched ringing in your ear. So clearly grade 7 Sarah didn't have all of the kinks, sorted out. But it was fun. And then we went to the Canadian-wide science fair, and it was literally a life-changing experience. I grew up in Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is a very rural area, farms. Literally, my school was in a farm. Um, and there wasn't that much interest in STEM. Our robotics team got, shut down because there wasn't enough funding for it. Um, I didn't, yeah, there just wasn't a lot of opportunities. I didn't know that at the time. I,
Yeah, you're
because
just
I
at
didn't know
school.
what was
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
um, so I didn't know the Canada-wide Science Fair existed. I didn't know until I won. They were like, you're going to compete at the national level. And I was like, okay. So they take us on this bus and we go to McGill University. And there every day was just insane. They rented out a whole field and got like balloon, big, what's it called? Like jumpy castles.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
called. Like a bunch of inflatable obstacle courses and like food trucks,
Amazing.
the whole football field. There was a yacht party. There were tours all over Montreal and all over all the key spots. We got to meet Chris Hadfield. Like
Nice. Yeah.
just an insane fever dream of an experience. And I got to present my project to people from all over the world. We had a pin collecting competition and where everyone would trade pins of where they're from. And by the end of the experience, I had like over 100 pins from all over Canada. And I met kids from everywhere, which is insane because like I lived in this bubble of my small town. I didn't know that there were so many kids out there interested in science and excited about science. So yeah, that really changed my perspective and made me realize like, okay, this is like really cool. Like I'm not weird for doing that. Like everyone is, there's just a whole community of people that are into coding and into all this stuff. Like I'm not alone in my passion for this. So yeah, that's my science fair experience.
What an adventure. Yeah, definitely not alone. I mean, this is like one of the coolest communities I feel like I've ever been a part of. And I love that we can call ourselves nerds and like it's a positive thing and we mean it and we're excited by it. And I love hearing stories just like yours because my story is almost identical to yours. Where I grew up in a rural area, had no idea that this whole other world existed where it's okay to be smart and it's okay to be curious and it's okay to do nerdy things like coding and wanting to help just a neighbor and experience something. Like I imagine you're a gamer and so you looked at this neighbor who couldn't and thought, I'm gonna do that. Like why don't I just make something for them? Love it. Love it. So let's skip forward a little bit, set the scene. Are you still coding? Is that where this is taking you? Let's just rip the band-aid off like
Literally.
secrets. Yeah.
Like was coding all day today, was coding like the few minutes before we jumped on this call. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, still coding. No longer with blocks anymore, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate. So no
yeah.
code. No.
No, I mean, you know what? No code still has its place. I use no code when I can. But yeah, mostly code.
Mostly code. So
Mostly code.
talk to us. So grade 7, science fair experiment, making a game, an auditory game. Fast forward, you finish high school, where you're at. Can you walk us through the last couple of years of your life? Because it's been a journey.
Yeah,
I've looked at your LinkedIn.
boy.
You've been trying some
Yeah.
things.
So I applied to like, all the computer science schools. Actually, not all of them. I didn't. So, I didn't know much, okay, but I did hear that, okay, if you want to do computer science, you should apply to Waterloo, you should apply to UFT. I didn't get into computer science at Waterloo. I didn't apply to UFT because I was afraid to live alone in the city, I guess. There's still a very much like rural heart in me. I was scared of moving out on my own too far away. So I chose McMaster, and I have to say I do not regret my decision at all. I love McMaster. As soon as I joined computer science, I realized, oh my gosh, there were like some really, I'm going to use the word cracked, and what that means is like incredibly smart and hardworking. Just some cracked kids out there. Like I joined this Discord server for my year. And everyone in the chat was sending their personal projects. They were sending like these graphs that represent all their notes that they've taken, like just like in their Minecraft servers and like just all this stuff. And I just went from like, oh, like I'm so alone in this rural area interested in STEM to now like this huge pool of people that were all interested in computer science, obviously, but like very dedicated, like had way more experience than me. And I was really intimidated. So my goal was just to survive. It was a really hard first year. It is harder when you don't come from a school that's closer to the GTA. The math was just not to the same scale that they were teaching in other places. So first year was really tough. I was lucky that I got a scholarship when I entered. And that scholarship allowed me to do research in the summer. So I sent out cold emails to all my professors, not all my professors, just any professor that was in computer science, and said, hey, by the way, I have a scholarship. So if you want to hire me, I'm free. Free labor, please hire me. And no one responded except for one professor. Like, my goodness. And that was Professor Wembohi, and she took me on for the summer. So after I survived a very grueling first year, I had the opportunity to do research, which, by the way, if you do not land a research position or a job in your first year, it's very highly likely the market's very competitive right now. I highly recommend volunteering to do research. I was lucky I had the scholarship, which meant that I was free for the professor. But if you're not doing anything in the summer, I highly recommend volunteering your time because it will help you so much. You are going to work on the edge of something new in the field. You just got to believe in yourself and try it. So I show up my first day. It's online because it's all like during COVID and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm here. She's like, I've never worked with an undergrad student before. Propose a new idea for you to work on. That was the task. She's like, here are the areas of interest, like machine learning, like privacy, like how can we make machine learning algorithms like safe, I guess.
Mhm.
What a huge
Like,
topic that I knew absolutely nothing about. So I start scouring the internet, doing a lot of, she gives me like a paper and I couldn't read the paper because I couldn't understand anything. I've learned that academic papers are usually just like that. You know, sometimes you know the topic very well and academic writing is just a whole other language. So what I did is I went word for word through the paper. Every time I didn't understand something, I would look it up. I'd watch a YouTube video, a lot of StatQuest. I don't know if you've heard of StatQuest, great YouTube channel. A lot of three blue, one brown, two blue, one brown. That guy on YouTube, great, would recommend.
Lots of YouTubers.
Lots of YouTube.
Lots
Watched
of
a lot of
YouTubers,
YouTube.
yeah.
Eventually, I could understand the paper, and then once I did understand the paper, I was able to ask questions that just come up naturally. I think I get this question from students who are interested in research, like how do I pick a research topic or what do I do? When you go read research papers, questions are they just keep coming up because there's so much, like every time you learn something new, the natural next question progresses, which is like, okay, you've done this, but what if you did it this way? Or sometimes they even have at the end of the paper, like open questions for research. So that's what I did. I started reading a bunch of papers because I could finally understand what they were saying. And I proposed questions and she said, okay, these are good. Thank you so much. Can you read this paper by my student? He needs a little bit of help with his writing. So I was the only native English speaker on the team. So it was like, your summer is, you're halfway through, probably not enough time to start something, but you can work with my master's students and you can help them, go through the revision process. So I ended up working really well with Cheng Li, and we rewrote his paper. We went through all the revision process and we ended up publishing that paper So that was my first published research paper. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I came in knowing nothing after barely surviving first year and just, gave it a shot, watched a lot of YouTube, and eventually got to the point where I could also contribute. So yeah, that was my first year
I mean, it sounds
of
like you
university.
basically just speed ran a science fair project in a summer. Like you literally went from not
Yeah,
knowing things to just out of curiosity, and it's an area you're interested in, reading a bunch of papers, figuring out what anything means. Like that is exactly what a kid in high school does when they start a STEM fair project is, I don't know anything about anything. Here's what I'm interested
yeah,
in. I'm just going to look up some words in the dictionary or watch a bunch of YouTube just because that just is the way now. So, and then prompt some questions and then figure it out from there.
yeah. I think a common trap that I see a lot of high school students get stuck in is like sometimes you feel like you need permission or you need to be an expert, you need to talk to an expert. You don't need permission. You don't need to talk to an expert. You can just go word by word, look it up. You can do it. Like just believing in yourself, I think, is sometimes the hardest step. Realizing that all these people that do all this crazy research and stuff at some point had no idea what they were doing and just decided to Google it. Oh, don't be afraid to Google it. The information is out there. Uh, it's just about, taking the time and believing in yourself.
I think the other thing too to take from that your first year, we haven't even got past your first year yet, but to take from your first year
Yeah.
as well, is also that when the researcher said, read this and come back to some questions, you weren't trying to think of something brand new that the world had never seen before. I think a lot of students get stuck on this word novel. I mean, it's almost a joke now that like
Yeah.
every STEM fair project has to be novel. But I mean, you literally just said, even at the end of research papers, there's sometimes questions that just says, here's some further questions for future research. And it's not
Yeah, there you go.
starting from scratch. You're not trying to invent something brand new. You're like, in real world research, it's piece by piece. You're not trying to, every project doesn't have to be completely different from another project. It's just about doing something differently or changing a few variables or, yeah, you're not reinventing a whole new, I don't know, theory every time.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of research is that it's there for you to build upon and learn from. And that's why there is a section at the beginning of every paper where you just talk about other people's papers, right? Because it's a community of building upon knowledge upon, piece by piece.
Mhm.
So yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more.
So you went from knowing nothing to knowing a little bit to publishing a
Yeah.
paper
Yeah.
to where? What happened there?
Okay. Yeah. I start second year. It's a lot better than first year. By the way, if you're interested in computer science, first year is always going to be very, very hard. Schools just like to, I call it a filter. I think they're filtering out. So stick through it, focus on it, fight it. You got it. So after your first year, things get a lot easier. And I really wanted to get a co-op in the industry. That was my number one goal. And how did I go about that? Oh my gosh. The most I learned was from students that were a few years older than me. Uh, the job market was crashing when I started looking for internships. It's probably still at an all-time low right now. So my career counselors, the school like job board, they were not super good resources just because they were not prepared for this as well. Like they are doing their best, but it's just it became so competitive so quickly. So what did I do is I booked coffee chats with people. The way I did that was I'd go to events, I'd go to events at school. I'd meet people and I'd be like, hey, would you be willing to roast my resume? Or, can we chat? Boba Talks helped a lot. I'm a Boba Talks mentor. It's a website where you can find people who are volunteer giving their time to do coffee chats. You don't need to ask them for, like, can you talk to me or whatever. They are literally there to talk to you. They're literally there to give you career advice. So you can just go on the website, find someone you want to chat with, and book some time with them. The Boba Talks mentors help me a lot too. So I go to a career fair and I just ask randomly, I'm like, oh, I'll help clean up. because I didn't really get to talk to anyone, and I was like, maybe I'll chat with someone while I'm cleaning up, you know. And it happened. So I was speaking with this woman from CIBC, and I told her I had run a wedding videography business because, and I know we didn't talk about this, but I had a wedding video business. And she thought that was really impressive, and so we kept kind of talking, and she ended up, you know, putting me on a short list for interviews, and that's how I and passing those, failing the first interview, but passing the second one. That's how I got my first co-op at CIBC.
That's cool. I mean, it's very similar to finding mentors, right? Like there is just a way of going about it where you do have to put yourself out there. And I know that's really scary for people, especially introverts, which is a very common, personality trait that many of us have. But you do have to almost play the numbers game sometimes, but like be honest and be respectful of them and just be open to being vulnerable when you share your experience and you want to show your passion for something. And you bring in all of these extracurriculars like your wedding videography business, which is impressive. Like it is something that sets you apart. It shows that you have other interests, which I think is important and often overlooked by people who just focus so much on just my resume. And if that resume gets blasted to 1,000 places, it doesn't do anything. Like you need to be a bit more personal.
Yeah, 100%. It really depends on what your goal is. Like, for example, big tech, sending out a lot of resumes makes a lot more sense. Some industries are more networking focused. It really depends. So I guess like my best piece of advice is go talk to people who have been through it. That's the best thing you can do. It's not like a one size fits all solution, but at the end of the day, yes, being vulnerable is important. I could tell you about the, actually, I couldn't tell you because I almost forgot how many times I got rejected or how many times people just didn't respond to me, like so many times, but I don't remember those. I only remember the ones that did respond to me. I don't have any, I do get like anxious. So I very much sympathize with being an introvert. I just don't have really good advice other than maybe disassociating a bit and just hitting send and worrying about it afterwards. That's what I do. I'm just going to hit send. And then you can freak out afterwards, but you just can't freak out before because you have to hit the button, you know?
That's good advice.
That's my,
yeah, freak
that's
out
my best
after.
piece of advice. Freak out after.
Really
You're
good.
going to have so much time to freak out after. Yeah, you can overthink it before you go to sleep. You can stress for years ahead, okay? You got so much time. Just hit send.
Just hit send.
Then we can worry about it.
That's good advice. That's good. So to get to where you are now, you've had to do a lot. Like to get to now, you're at a big tech company, and we'll get to that in a second. But
Yes.
To get to where you are now, like you had to go through all of this stuff. You had to do research over a summer. You had to do co-ops. You had to do all of this work. How did you know that computer science was the thing that you're interested in now? Obviously, like we just talked about your grade 7 project. Is that it?
Yes.
Like, is that when you were like, this is how I know?
Computer science honestly was an easy decision for me because it didn't feel like a decision at all. And that's because there are so many things you can do with a computer science degree. I felt like so many doors were open. And I just had a little bit of a knack for it in the sense that like I liked math, but I don't like math enough to do statistics. You know what I mean? I liked science, but I'd rather code than, work within a lab or like like physics simulators and things like that. My favorite thing was making games and like interactive experiences. I just gravitated towards it. I didn't know that I wanted to do that. I just knew that at least it wasn't that specialized. Like computer science is still super vague. So I didn't really feel like it was closing any doors, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think I kind of did the same thing, but like you almost just choose a direction, but you don't know where you're going yet.
Yeah,
you're just like, I'm
exactly.
going to go that way.
Yeah, it's very clear. If you look at my career path, like right now I'm doing more full stack development, but I did AI research. Then I did a banking analyst role, which by the way was not a traditional software engineering role by any means. And then I went into the then I did a startup. So like and I would say even all the things I did are pretty related. There's computer science is so much wider than I jumped around a lot, but it's so much wider than whatever I've been jumping to. So yeah, I didn't feel too stressed about that particular decision. Later decisions, yes.
I think the other thing too, I mean, there's a reason why the subtitle for this podcast is Adventures in STEM. Like it's not here's your destination, you're there, good luck now, enjoy it. But it is their winding journey that you go on. I personally am a huge proponent for jumping around, trying different things. I think a lot of people think that the decisions they make when they're 16, 17 just is the rest of their life now. Oh no. Maybe no, that's not what it's like at all. I know it is a big decision and it feels like the biggest thing in your life because it is at the time. But the university you go to, the degrees you get, the first job you get out of university, even like all those things can change. You can change midway through. You can change 10 years later. I mean, I studied business and accounting and I don't do either of them really anymore. Actually, not entirely sure what I do, but I don't really do that at all anymore. So be okay with like jumping around as, you get to where you are right now by jumping around. You don't get to where you are by just being like, I absolutely will get to a big tech company instantly as soon as I want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you start to realize that the more people you talk to later in their careers. That's why I'm saying like talking to people who have been through it is the number one thing I recommend still, because when I was speaking with all these people and I was asking about their journeys, like I met someone who was a doctor and then turned into a data scientist, like complete pivot in career, like I and doctors like, I mean, so much time in school. And he was like, no, actually, I don't like this. And then went and became a data scientist. So like, and every single person at the bank had like a random start and then pivoted into whatever they were doing. Like it was very rare that I'd find someone who had a straightforward career path. But more often than not, they did it. So yeah, that made me more confident in the fact that I wasn't doing that either.
Yeah. Life is long. Like we are working for a long time. Like
Yeah,
there is so much time ahead of you
so
still.
much time.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that beautiful horizon, tell us about your work now. What are you doing? So you went from co-op, internship, analyst, you've done the research, you go into AI for
Yes.
a little bit there, you
Yes.
sell a business. Tell us all.
Oh, okay. So, um, actually, at the same time that I started my internship at CIBC, a little bit before that, I founded SalesBop with my two co-founders. Actually, at the time, it was just one of my co-founders. So he actually came to me with the idea. He was running a marketing agency. He had a few salespeople on his team, and at first they just weren't closing any deals. So he read every book about sales that he could find, like a lot. And he trained them and they started improving, like immediately, started closing deals. Business was doing well. And he thought to himself, why don't we try to make an AI sales coach? And this was a few months after ChatGPT became like public, or like at least you could like use it online and it like was popular. So I think that happened in November of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And this would have been May 2023. So this was like very new. So we pivoted a bunch, got a lot of feedback from users, and we were doing this while in school. So basically I was just doing my projects, working on SalesBop, doing my projects, working on SalesBop. Throughout that, I managed to secure an internship. So I actually also did my first internship in New York City with MongoDB, which is my current company that I work for. And then in, late of last year, we, started talking about an acquisition, and that came into fruition in February of this year. It was acquired by Flighthouse. I'm happy to answer any questions about that journey. I don't even know where to begin. But after that was acquired, I immediately moved to Toronto, went to like I said, like STEM can be lonely sometimes. I definitely found a community at McMaster of people really excited about STEM, uh, specifically startups. Toronto's community for startups is just phenomenal. And so it's been amazing being a part of it. Um, and then I returned to MongoDB full time in the end of July. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in Toronto, working for my dream company and, you know, hosting events for startup founders.
That's so cool. I have so many questions, so we're just going to get right into it. I think for a lot of our students, the dream is start a startup, build something amazing. Maybe acquisition is a pipe dream down the line. What's it like getting into the ground floor, building a startup? What does that experience feel like? How do you stay how do you stay motivated? How do you even have the time to do that, especially if you're at school still?
Well, okay, time management, there were some sacrifices made. Like I definitely skipped, more than a few classes to work on my startup and, didn't go home for like months, probably. I think there's no secret to like how did I have the time to do that? It's like I literally didn't. I just made time for it. Like so there's no like perfect balance. But at first, it was obviously exciting. There's always a lot of excitement when you start a new startup. We brought on another co-founder because at the time I just didn't have the technical skills needed to pull it off in the way we wanted to, and so it was just a lot of coding, especially my role because I was like the primary like me and Jason, we were both the primary developers on the project. So what it felt like was pouring a lot of it it always felt like you were about to launch. Like we're about to launch. We're about to launch. We're about to launch. So, you asked me how I stay motivated. It was like the deadline was always there. And then it's like, oh, we're going to push it back a week because we need this. Okay, we're going to push it back a week because we need this. And so in December of that year, so it was December of 2023, we like launched for the first time. And this is a complete different product from what ended up being acquired. This was like a salespeople who wanted personal coaching would go sign up on their own and pay their own subscription to receive sales coaching. So after that, we quickly learned, and this is, kind of startup 101, is that you need to go talk to customers. You need to hear their feedback so that you can improve your products. We immediately started doing that. We built a beta group and we reached out to a lot of people. Oh my God, I couldn't tell you how many conversations we had. It was like a lot. And we ended up continuing to iterate on that. And I guess the motivation came from like, I don't know, but it was just like we were really, really excited to build it. We had people that were interested and waiting on this one feature, waiting on this other feature. And it was all about just getting it out as fast as possible so they could benefit from it because we wanted to create something that people loved. We wanted to, you know, build something that teams could trust and use. And that's what we did, which is crazy to think about. But, like at the time, it was just a idea, like they could be using this, they could be using this, they could be using this. And then, those people that we were talking to for advice or whatever, they started getting like, oh, no, we want this now. Like we're going to pay for it now. We want to buy it. So a lot of the people that we were talking to at the idea stage ended up also becoming customers down the line. And then of course it was easier to get more customers, once you have existing ones. I don't like since this is, mostly for younger students who are, just getting started, I guess startup 101, go talk to customers, go get feedback as soon as you can, listen to them. There's so much different advice out there. So one thing that helped a lot was having a mentor that was there for us like a non-dilute, we were part of a non-dilutive program. We were at the Forge, and non-dilutive means they don't have equity in your company. They're not an investor. They're literally just there to give feedback and mentorship. We had an amazing mentor named Ingrid, and she wasn't our first mentor. Like we originally were matched with someone. We just didn't feel like it was a good fit. It's not always, it might take some time, but because she was there for us as people and for the business, like she didn't have any other ulterior motive other than she's been through it. She helped us ask ourselves the right questions. She was like, "What do you think you should be doing?" Or "Why do you think that?" Like she would ask these carefully calculated questions that would bring us to the next step of what we had to do. Um, it changes depending on the stage. Such like I don't feel confident in giving people like startup advice, if you know what I mean, because I feel like it really depends on what you're building and where you're at in your own life. But I will say you need to just start. That whole thing, analysis paralysis we were talking about earlier, of like you don't need permission, you don't need an expert. Just start. You'll learn as you go. For example, I learned, oh my gosh, I actually don't have the technical skills I need. Let me bring on another co-founder to do this thing. Like you're going to hit speed bumps, you're going to hit unexpected things, but you just need to start. And then the next thing is talking to people who have been through it before. I know I've said this before with job hunting. It's the same thing. It's like without Ingrid, we would have, probably built in the wrong direction. Maybe we wouldn't have talked to customers and we would have just kept building something that nobody wanted, right? So it's, I guess those two pieces of advice I can confidently say,
It's good advice. I mean, I don't want to be too obvious, but I can see the direct parallels to just a normal STEM project for a student doing a science fair. Again, the analysis paralysis is real. Finding a mentor, and maybe the first mentor isn't perfect, so they're having to find a second one. Talking to people, finding your community, so like finding a community of builders and startup founders that are also going through the same thing as you. That's directly relevant. Just in
Exactly.
doing a
Okay.
project.
You're putting
Like,
it so
don't do a
well.
project in like on your own. Like, don't try to do this on your own. There are communities out there. There's a purple STEM wave. If you don't have a community locally near you, maybe you grew up on the lake and you didn't know. So like join our
Yeah.
Discord server and meet other students that are
Yeah.
doing a
Discord.
STEM project. Like we have resources for you, and these are the secrets, and it's applicable throughout your life, and it shows up so many times. So let me ask the super obvious question then: was there anything from your science fair days that you feel like gave you the skills to be a very good startup co-founder / coding extraordinaire today?
100%. The biggest thing was the presentation skills. That is never something that is focused on in STEM programs. I don't think did I ever give a presentation in my, I did, but it was for an elective. So it wasn't like, you're never going to give like presentations in computer science. That's just not a requirement for the program. It's very academically focused, but those communication skills like were absolutely crucial to me getting my first internship, having the confidence to reach out and speak up and say, "Hey, my name is Sarah. Nice to meet you." And engaging in that way, like confidence was the biggest thing that I got from the science fair, from Canada-wide science fair. Yeah, because they're like, "Here you are at the national level, go speak." And then you're like, "Okay, I guess this is the thing that I have to do now." And getting over that fear, like, just opened so many doors for me in my life. And also, talking to customers, having the confidence to do that. Pitching, we also pitched, which introduced us to potential investors, potential people to, buy our company, like, as well. Yeah, honestly, that's the biggest takeaway, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 12 years old and you're pitching your science fair idea project to a judge who's probably many, many, many times older than you, has lived many more lifetimes, you're definitely going to come away with confidence, regardless of the award you win or don't win. But just the
Yeah.
confidence you get from being around other people that are doing the exact same thing, and you get to see how people do it next to you. You get to hear their presentations. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy too, was seeing other kids give their presentations and you're like, oh my God, they're so good. Like you realize that like you can do it too. Like you were literally just playing Minecraft with this kid and now he's here giving like the craziest, most impressive presentation. Like, okay, I could do this too. Oh, you know what's funny is, so, okay, I didn't talk about this, but when we did the re not the regional. Yes, the regional science fairs. This is the second like round of science fair that we did with that project. There was one of the judges came to our booth and he was like he was looking through our data, which by the way, you know how you have your data in like a book, but no one's actually gonna look at it, right? Like it's just there. We have the graphs on the board. You can look at the graphs. You don't have to look at the raw data. Anyway, so he was really interested for whatever reason, started looking at the raw data. And he's like, this is wrong. And we were like, what? So me and Juvia start freaking out because one of the main judges said that like our data was wrong. And we go back and he was right, by the way. It was because we were measuring temperature and he was like, there's no way someone's body temperature was this because they would be dead or something like that. So we go back and we find there was an outlier and we realized that one outlier was screwing up our average because it was calculated incorrectly, likely. And so we fix the outlier. We go to him and we say, hey, thank you for finding the anomaly in our data. We corrected it. And that ended up, I think, I don't know, because he's a very cold man. He wouldn't show in his face whether or not he enjoyed the presentation. But I think that played a big role into why we moved on, because we were receptive to feedback. So I think that was a huge lesson learned as well, was just removing, your ego in what you built and just being open to hearing that feedback and being corrected and, like learning, not feeling like you need to be the expert that knows everything, right? So that was also really, really helpful as well.
Yeah, if there's one thing I can guarantee in life, maybe even more so than the sun rises and sets every day, is that you are going to get a lot of feedback in life. And if you do not learn how to take feedback on board and evaluate whether it's constructive feedback or useless feedback and then do something about the result of that determination, you are going to find life much, 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 much harder than you need to.
Yeah. Which, by the way, was majority of like startup was, okay, is this feedback useful or not?
Yeah.
Was sorting through that and figuring out the signal there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side now, you work at your dream company, MongoDB. Congratulations, you've made it. You work for a massive tech company. How do you feel? What's it like working for your dream company? What's it feel working for a massive tech company? Like that's another dream that a lot of our students have.
Yeah. Honestly, it's amazing. It's not the same for everyone. I don't want to glorify working for a big tech company too much because it really depends on the company and the team. But I'm very happy with my team. I was very, very happy that they gave me the return offer, and I was very lucky to have been partnered with them throughout my internship. We are an internal tools team for our like customer facing employees. So if you're working at MongoDB and you're interacting with customers, you're likely using the tools that I'm building. So it's very, important. We have big clients. We need to make sure that our services are to the best quality. It's, it's, you know what it is? It's when I was younger and I made that game and I made it, once. You make the game once in your bedroom and then suddenly you go to this school and there's 30 kids using your game. That like moment when I saw 30 kids playing the game at the same time, I was like, oh my. Like, I just made this one thing in my bedroom once and now everyone can use it. And I think that's kind of the magic of software. I think that's probably why I fell in love with software specifically, was that it's so scalable. You could code something and it could reach like thousands, millions. Like, it depends on the product you're working on. It's not only about the numbers, but it's about, like the lives that you impacted. So one thing I really like about my team is that because it's an internal tool, I actually work with the people that are using my product. And I also don't work with a lot of the people that are using my product. Like I get to see like when I walked into work today, there was like 30 people. They're all using. Yeah, I could see. And by the way, we're like a very hybrid remote company. So like that's a lot of people to be using it. And there's probably like so many more not using it, using it that I can't see. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy that something I built is being appreciated and a part of someone's like work and about making their work, better. Um, yeah, I think there's just a little bit of every engineer that just wants to make something that people use. So I guess that's the nice part about working in big tech is that everything that you build is used by a lot of people. Hence the name big tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the impact is definitely the most exciting part.
Nice. I want to transition into talking about impact. But before I do, I just have one question. Do you have advice for building good software? I know that's a huge question. And so like you don't have to answer it like comprehensively. But like, do you just have like a piece of advice for someone that is sitting in their bedroom right now and they're staring at just that blank cursor in VS Code? Well, it's not blank anymore. It says, do you want to press such and such to AI generate some code? Anyway, you know what I'm saying? The blank cursor in VS Code is sitting there in front of them. What should they be holding in the back of their mind as they're building software to get to the best thing that actually has impact?
The fundamental piece of advice is obviously being focused on your users. So thinking about how they're going to interact with your application from their perspective, and then also getting their perspective, literally going out and talking to them, watching them use the thing that you've built and kind of iterating. So that's one. The second thing is actually iterating, not planning to be perfect, on your first try. Building something, we call it a POC, proof of concept. Building something that, shows the idea of what you're trying to build. It doesn't have to be perfect, just getting it out there, getting feedback, getting people using it, seeing what works and what doesn't. Then we move on to what's called an MVP, minimum viable product, which is like the bare bones version of what you're trying to build that technically is like, it technically works. Like technically it has all the pieces, all the fundamental pieces, none of the nice to have features, just pure core, the thing that it does. And then iterating from there. So those are like kind of the two, I guess, fundamental how to build good products tutorials, I guess, best summarized. And then do I want to add something onto that? Oh yeah, I'm going to add something onto that. If you're building a software product specifically, I think choosing a good set of tools to start with makes a big difference. Like the stack, this is what we call the stack, which is like the set of, technologies that you're using, makes a huge difference. It makes your life a lot easier or a lot harder. So there's no good way to figure out what stack you need because sometimes you start with one. I would just be, what I would say, I would be afraid. Don't be afraid of starting over. Okay. I think everyone, when they start a project, they start it, then they have to restart it at least once. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be like, oops, I built this the completely wrong way. In the first week or so. I think it happens a lot. I think it's totally normal and it's probably a good sign. Yeah.
I have two more things to add to that. One, learn to use GitHub or some sort of like versioning software.
Yes.
Like, please.
So you don't lose your work.
Save your work. Just back it up.
You can be like, cursor, how do I save my work? And it usually does pretty well with the GitHub commands if you need to learn them. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only other piece is like make your environment nice, like your space. Like get some nice lights, light a candle, drink your tea or whatever it is. Like put the music on, like make it cozy and comfortable so that you're not like forcing yourself to just stare at a blank wall. I don't know. That always makes it easier for me to learn.
A lot of students, come to me and they are concerned with being too reliant on AI. So I think a lot of students have become proficient in vibe coding and they're like, okay, but how do I learn to actually code, quote unquote? And I just want to clarify, if it's your literal first time coding, I highly recommend doing a project tutorial step by step and literally just following the guide and trying to understand what they're doing. Like, don't, put too much pressure on yourself to start something from scratch. I think sometimes you just need to learn the concepts. It'll help you. It'll go a long way. It'll be really annoying. It's not as fun, but it will be worth it. I used Scrimba. It's like a free tutorial on how to do React when I first started doing front-end development. Super, super helpful. And then if you already are, the fundamentals and you're just, still finding yourself vibe coding a lot, but you still want to learn, my biggest advice is just turn it off. Turn it
Yeah.
off. Force yourself to feel the pain of having to type. It goes a long, long way. Like, personally, I think a lot of developers are using AI to help them code, myself included. When those services go down, I don't find myself struggling because I've had the practice of not having those tools, because I was lucky enough to have started to learn these concepts like right on the brink of them existing. So yeah, that's what I would say. Don't Just turn it off. Go through a tutorial. It will be painful. It will be painful, but you can do it.
Embrace the pain.
Embrace
Yeah.
the pain. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do the work. Yeah, that is a good piece of advice. Like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to do the work. Like, yeah, all of these things are amazing, but there's a reason you learn how to do math, even though calculators exist. There's a reason you do an English class and you learn to write sentences now that AI exists. Like, these
Yeah,
concepts are
literally.
important to learn. Yeah. Which gets you
Yeah,
back onto a
anyone
different
who
episode. Just talk about
Oh,
AI.
sorry, yeah.
I
Oh,
feel
yeah?
like I feel like you've got a lot of knowledge to share
I
just on AI and its use.
Yeah. Well, I did, like, by the way, I think I said it. Yeah, SalesBop is an AI-powered sales coaching platform. So yeah, no, that's kind of my shtick.
That's your jam. Yeah.
That's my jam. Yeah. Um, I forgot who said it, but someone was like, to work smart, you need to work hard first. People say like work smart, not hard. It's like sometimes you just have to work hard in order to work smart, right? It's going through those hard learning curves and taking them head on. Yeah.
Yeah. Good advice. Okay, in the last couple of minutes here, let's talk about impact, because you're doing some cool things. I can see the little logo on your shirt for anyone listening. I mean, anyone watching the podcast on YouTube right now. Build and Chill. Sarah, talk to me about Build and Chill and this amazing program that you're a part of. Like, this is the impact you're
Yeah.
having in the world.
Yeah, it is. So my co-founder was invited to a retreat called Build and Chill. It was the first ever Build and Chill event, made by two incredible founders in Canada, Tuan and James. It was basically a very unstructured time where founders could just make real friendships. You can't really build super authentic connections at networking events. It's a lot of flexing, a lot of trying to impress a certain someone to, get to the next step in your career, which has its purpose 100%. But it can be really lonely. So Build and Chill was created to just create a space where people can, be people first, humans first. And it was really invaluable. Like, the friendships he made at that event, like, still some of his closest friends. I got to meet them as well, which is how I got involved. And I was hanging out with Maya Leckie, who is an incredible female founder. And, we started, sharing stories and whatnot. And, we're like, oh man, I wish I could go to this hacker house and this hacker house. There's a bit of hesitation when you're a solo, female founder to put yourself in those situations, because it can be risky. And then more so, sometimes it's difficult to connect. You can't connect on the same level as you can with women, because we have this shared experience, this shared struggle of being female founders. And so we thought, why not create a version of this event, still keeping the co-ed version as well, but let's do one just for women to give them this opportunity as well without having to stress about all the logistics of it. And so that's what we're doing. I have an incredible team, Anjali Dewal, Julia Fedorin, and then of course Lucky, who I spoke about earlier. And we're hosting the event in January of this year. We're going to select top applicants. We already have like over 200 people on our wait list, and that was just from like one post. We haven't even started the marketing for this yet. So I'm really excited to not only support the women in the room, but also inspire any women who want to be founders in the future, young women. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
I love that. On the Build and Chill website, there's one line that I absolutely love, and it's, "This is the stuff we'd do if we won the lottery tomorrow." And I think that's such a beautiful mission, I think, to have for a community group like Build and Chill. Yeah, I mean, what a beautiful way to spend your time, is doing something that you would be doing even if you didn't have to worry about money or
Yeah.
any of these other things that just like weigh us down day to day.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Twan or James who wrote that, but like that mentality is the reason why it was so successful. And I am so dedicated to bringing that same vibe because I feel the same way. Like I think that's what is unique about Bill and Chills. They've really brought together like-minded people in the sense that like we are here to make friendships, because what else would we be doing if we weren't doing this, right? Like, so yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. I'm excited.
And it just highlights the importance of community, right? It's like, I don't know how many people I have to talk to reinforce the idea that community is so important. It's the thing, like almost more than anything else, like curiosity, community, like those two things make you a beautiful human being. Like that's all you need, just community and curiosity, and you can do
Yeah, I
anything you want in
wouldn't
life.
be anywhere without the people who took a chance on me. And these people were in my, well, that's really what community is. It's the events that I go to and the people that I meet that, take a chance on me, right? And they're like, okay, here's how to, the people who gave me resume roasts for no reason. They're like, you should fix that wording. Eventually landed to the job. Or, you know, Wenbo He for taking a chance on me to join her research group when no other professor said, or, the woman who recruited me from CIBC who said, hey, you have a business. That's cool. Like, just people willing to help, the next generation, right? You're young. People love helping young people. Take advantage of that. Go reach out. If they say no, it's okay. If they say yes, it might change your life, you know?
We're wrapping up here now, so I have a couple of last questions for you. When you are thinking of youth participating in STEM fairs, doing STEM projects, exploring their curiosity, coding away alone in their bedrooms, building something wonderful, what are you hoping that they're taking away from that experience, of the experience of doing something outside of what they're forced to do as part of their school curriculum, but choosing a topic they're interested in and exploring it the whole way from, hey, I've just like sparked an idea. Here's something I'm curious about too. Here's something that I've finished and I'm presenting to the world. What are they taking away from that beyond the awards, obviously, and the recognition that you get? Because,
Yeah.
for a lot of you, you didn't even know that was a thing that was going to happen to you. You just like
Yeah, I
did something
didn't.
because you wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, it ended up like the project I worked on, like I needed to do it for a grade. I didn't like think it would have gone as far as it did, which is funny. The thing to take away is the skills that you learned, one, and the way that you presented it. As in, like, I wouldn't just be like, okay, oh, I know how to code now, or I know how to, build this now. Be loud about it. I cannot stress this enough. I think, like, I know that you see me on LinkedIn all the time, and there's a reason for that, is
Yeah.
because it's not just about creating things, it's about sharing what you're building. Like, always share what you've built, because you never know when that's going to lead to your next opportunity. LinkedIn is a great place to do that because it's very, I'm going to say, non-toxic. It's a not toxic space to do that for the most part. There aren't that many hate comments when you have your full government name on your profile. and your employer. So, you know, that's what I would recommend. I think I'm very grateful that I started posting on LinkedIn early because it helped me a lot. When I was reaching out to people later, they could see all the things that I've been working on, my passion that has existed since I was young.
Yeah. It's valuable too because you're honest, like you're honest about it. It is who you are. Like you're not putting on a character. These are the projects you're passionate about and you want to share it because you want people to know about it.
Yeah, I think you should share it anyways, even if you're nervous, because
Just click send.
why not? Just send it. Yeah, that's funny. I think kids are gonna think that's funny because I think that's a saying. Just send it. It's like
Just send it.
I
Yeah.
think it's a saying.
Just
Yeah.
send it. Overthink it later.
Overthink it later. You have so much time to stress. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you're the
So
type to do it, you probably will, but that's fine.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just
Oh, we've got some overthinkers in the community. I think that's just like, you just have to be almost to be part of the side set.
yes, you do. There you go.
Yeah.
If that
I
is
think
a
it's just part of it.
motivation,
Yeah. Everyone's the same. We all do it.
everyone's the same. We're all scared.
So last question for you. Do you have any advice for students that you haven't shared? I mean, you've shared so much good advice already. Beyond just like get started, what's like the one thing what's like your motto, your mission? Like, do you have a quote that you write on the
Do I have a
mirror that you
quote?
look at every day? Like, what is it? What is important to you, and what is important for you to feel like you want to share with like the next generation, as it were? This is your moment. This is your soapbox.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Um, man, I wish I had a cool saying that I like, a cool quote. And I'll probably think of one after this call. I'll be like, damn,
Send it
should have
through.
said it.
Email it through or post it on Insta. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually when I give advice, I like to listen to, the first thing I do is ask a bunch of questions to the other person because I want to understand where they're coming from and their perspective. Um, and I think that's what I'll go with. I'll say listening. Because at the end of the day, it saved me a lot of trouble and it helped me a lot. Was just listening to other people's perspectives. Whether it be a mentor that has been through the hoops before, whether it be a customer that's using my product. And we talked about it earlier. Yes, it is important to, not all feedback is signal. You need to take some things with a grain of salt, take some things, to heart. You need to, be able to differentiate that. But I think having just like open ears and, getting a lot of data points, I wouldn't just don't look up to only one person, talk to many people and, collect these different perspectives and you're going to start to find trends. And that's how you can, make that next step in the direction that you want to go because you can see those patterns. Yeah, that's what I would say. Probably go talk to a bunch of people.
Yeah,
Go
that's really good
go reach out
advice.
to people. Yeah. And that usually when I give advice, I listen to the other person first because I want to give the right advice for that person in their situation and be like empathetic towards that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that is a perfect segue into the ending of this podcast, which is my own motto that I share as part of the podcast, which is stay curious. And I mean, like how perfectly encapsulates
Yeah.
staying curious is asking a
Yeah,
lot of
literally.
questions.
Ask a
Yeah.
lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
We got it. What a full circle
when
moment.
everyone will say when you start a new job, they'll tell you that. When you go to a new school, they'll tell you that. And they, whatever, whoever's talking to you and giving you advice, it's
Yeah.
because it's
Big
true.
day. Yeah.
The big they
Big day.
they be saying a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
listen to they.
Yeah.
Go ask the questions.
Go ask the questions. Let's end it there. That's perfect. Okay, Sarah, this has been fantastic. I mean, it's an hour-long conversation. I have so many more questions, but we'll get you on another time. We'll have to get you back. I'm so happy for you that you've landed your dream job at MongoDB. I can't wait to continue seeing how build and chill goes. Good luck with your very first female founders session that's coming up very shortly. I mean, I love that you have so many people on the wait list. It just, again, perfectly encapsulates building community, staying curious. I hope we weren't too obvious in relating your STEM fair experiences to the amazing things you've done right now, but it is real. Like, this is real life.
Well,
And
yeah,
STEM
it's very
projects.
clear. The connections
Yeah.
are very obvious. Yeah. So I highly recommend it to students to join this amazing community because life changing, really.
Life changing. Yeah, that's going to be
Life changing.
the new heading of our website. I feel like every episode I
Yeah.
do this, there's always a new heading to our website. So yeah, it's amazing. Life changing. Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much for everyone listening and watching on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Join us again for another episode where I'll be interviewing another alum and exploring their incredible adventures in STEM. And for now, Sarah, good luck. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.